Giulio, when it comes to the theme of self-worth, your schooling actually had quite a bit of an impact on you, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a real expectation with my school. There was two things which they sort of were very sort of proud of, and music was a big sort of thing for them. And also they really appreciated people who were extremely academic. And that was two things that I really wasn't. And my brother was. And that's how I ended up going to the school, because my brother's 4 years older than I am. He's very musical, he's very academic. He went there for a number of years, and then I just got in, as you know, as you do, siblings can go to the same school.
Sure.
And teachers had this expectation that I would be just as musical and just as academic. And when I really wasn't, they were like, they almost sort of ripped me off. They almost were like, oh, well, we don't really want you here. And yeah, I was okay with that. But over the years, I noticed that actually they made it really obvious that they didn't really want me here. So, for example, when I was in year 9, my science teacher told me I should just drop out of school and become a window cleaner, because that's all I'd ever amount to. When I was, a few years later, when I was struggling with my maths, I went to my maths teacher and asked if he could personally tutor me, and he said to me, there's no point, you need more help than I can give you, so there's just no point. Wow. So little things like that, yeah. So it was sort of one thing after another, where it was just like, you know, they made it, like I said, they made it really obvious they didn't want me there. And because they made it obvious they didn't want me there, and to be honest with you, I absolutely hated the place.
Right.
Like, I woke up in the morning, I went to bed at night dreading going there the next day. That's how much I really detested being there. And actually, as a result, I just acted out.
Right.
The reality was, when you did something wrong in a school, they suspended you and they sent you home. And I was like, well, that's just a bonus. So I just got in trouble all the time because they just sent me home all the time. I didn't want to be there. So I was like, well, this is a perfect punishment. So I just acted out all the time. Get sent home, you go home for a week. Okay, fair enough, great.
Do not try this at home,
yeah.
people.
And I guess because it was the people I was around outside of school, I still had this inner belief that actually I knew that if I was going to get somewhere in life, or if I was going to do something, I had to put myself out there.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just had to, regardless of what they said about me, regardless of what they thought about me, you know, regardless of how I felt, because you can imagine having that, being told that sort of information, you know, you start to think that actually you start to believe maybe I should drop out of school because I'm never going to amount to anything. Maybe I'm really not as good as anyone else. You know, maybe actually, like, I'm not the smartest person in the room. So all that stuff they chip away at you, actually you do begin to believe it, regardless of whether you tell people you don't. You do.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. You take on board some of that information and you apply it to your life. And I guess I had to come to a point in my life where I realised if I was actually going to move forward with my life, regardless of how I felt, regardless if I believed some of this stuff, I had to put myself out there. And I had to put myself out there in front of people who, and it was challenging because, you know, I'd go for a job interview and I'd straight away be in a job interview and I'd be thinking that person's not going to give me the job because they don't think that I'm smart enough, or they don't think that, I should just be a window cleaner or stuff like that. So you automatically think that anyway. I applied for a job at the age of 16 whilst I was still in school for a big insurance company in where I grew up. And a lot of people said to me, oh, don't apply for it, you won't get it. You know, I had older friends who had applied for a job there, hadn't got the job, and they were like, oh, it's really hard and stuff like that. And it involved a written exam, it involved a maths exam, it involved a face-to-face interview before you even, you know, you got in there. So I went for it and I ended up getting a job. And actually being in that environment, being around a lot older people than me, and actually an environment that was totally away from school, being around people who didn't say to you, you're not good enough anymore, who didn't say to you, can't do it, who were actually encouraging, who when you did well at your job, they, you know, rewarded you and stuff like that. That was the sort of start of my journey of building my self-esteem, building my self-worth, and actually being able to look at myself and go, actually, I have got something to offer here, regardless of what my teachers would tell me. I've got something to offer here, and actually I've just got to work on that and see where that takes me.
Wow. So you were saying there about the different people that you surrounded yourself with. Would you say that was the first one? Would you recognise that? And is that something you've continued to apply to your life, about being careful who you surround yourself with, or the voices that you surround yourself with?
Yeah, absolutely. That was, funny enough, that was the first time I started to recognise it, but it did take many, many years before I actually got to a place where I really sort of recognised it. I think it got buried very deep in my subconscious, where actually I was actually quite subconsciously thinking that I'm not good enough for this, or I'm not, you know, there'd be a fear about this going on because I'm feeling this way and stuff like that. And it actually, and yes, by surrounding myself with good people and them actually speaking life into me rather than negativity, then I began to sort of believe more in myself. But it wasn't actually until I would say probably was in my late 20s until I realised actually how dangerous this thought pattern was, and how dangerous the negativity was affecting my life and stuff like that. And I could really recognise it and actually sort of catch it before it, you know, you let it breed into something which is really unhealthy.
Did you allow yourself, in the younger season, did you allow yourself to feel your feelings, or did you just like swallow them and deny them? How did that manifest itself?
A bit of both. I mean, yes, there was absolutely a lot of swallowing and denying it and pushing through it, but there was a lot of that where that feelings would overtake me, and there was a lot of stuff where I probably didn't go for. I probably didn't push myself as hard as I could have pushed myself. I didn't go for certain job interviews. I didn't go for certain qualifications or things that I enjoyed, because I had that sort of inherent belief where, oh, there's someone better out there that can do it, so I'll just let them get on with it. And yeah, that's probably where I've sort of seen it the most. Just do it. Doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter, you know, what you think of yourself or what you've allowed other people to think of you, or if you don't think you're going to do well at it, or if you're going to fail at it. It doesn't matter. Just do it, because the reality is you never know. You don't know what the outcome. If I'd listened to everyone who said to me, don't go for that job at the insurance company, I wouldn't have been working there, and it wouldn't have helped in my life. But I decided, actually, well, I don't know, I could get it. And I did get it. So it's you know, you can't allow what anyone says to you to dictate how you live your life. The only person that can dictate your life is the decision you make to live it.
Oh, wow. Catch that, man. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're constantly feeling this idea of, oh my gosh, like I don't feel like I should be here, or there's this constant sort of self-doubt thing that sort of pops up in your head that says, oh my gosh, wait, am I supposed to be here? Am I good enough for this place, you know?